I'll be real here, I do have an anime bias. I think I have like 2 months of overall watch time, but it's like boring to just be like, nah, this one's better. So I do gotta be complicated about it. So I'm gonna write a little video essay and be pretentious about it. So I did my own research on why exactly anime is better than cartoons, and it did end up more complex than I thought it would be. When we talk about anime versus cartoons, we gotta talk about the cultural values, you know what I'm saying, each medium reflected. So now we gotta talk about superstructure. So essentially, all societies need food, clean water, and industry to sustain themselves because people can't eat art, they can't eat culture. The economic base or foundation that makes life once we're able to eat, be in community, have knowledge, etc., our ideas and customs build up on each other. What superstructure does is reflect the cultural values that are needed for society to reproduce itself and keep itself functioning. Superstructure reinforces the base, and a base reinforces superstructure. Japan and animation have a peculiar ass history. The earliest piece of Japanese animation to date is from 1917 called Katsudo Shashin. The film is only 3 seconds long, showing a boy dressed in a sailor suit drawing the characters for Katsudo Shashin. It is the oldest anime found to date. One of the first animated films to be released is Shanjaku Mian Shipai, released in February 1917. A silent film made with chalk. The running theme for all films and animation at the time. Now leading up to World War II, we see the Japanese government using its cultural industries to reproduce a militaristic culture and nationalistic country. This included the creation of the first feature-length animated film commissioned by the Japanese Naval Ministry. The film was called Montoro's Divine Sea Warriors, released in 1945. Japan at this time was full fashion, no fucking holds barred, nigga, enacting laws to control and censor all cultural work domestically. Be honest, you want to enact imperialism and colonialism, but you can't enact these things without a state, a governing body that encompasses a mass of people to exploit. Cause who's gonna go to war with you? Make the guns and bombs, do the labor on the field, and won't be you, shit, not me. So, you know what I'm saying? You create a culture that normalizes your endeavor. Bro, niggas is doing a fucking dance battle outside? It's not fucking 90s, gang. The film works as an illustration of Japan's culture at the time. Their efforts to create the quote-unquote Greater East Asia Cold Prosperity Sphere. Throughout the war, Japan portrayed itself as a liberator, well, obviously, who were fighting to free Asia from European colonialism, with the ultimate goal of making Japan the dominant superpower of Asia.
島の人々は優しいこの王様のもとに毎日を楽しく暮らしていた。ある日、この島の港へ不思議な黒い船が姿を現した。情け深いゴアの王様、私たちは遠い国からはるばる参った商人でございます。このお国の人々とどうか仲良く兄弟のように付き合っていただきたいのです。つきましては、我々は毎日船へ帰るのも大変ゆえ、この島のどこかに私たちの休息できる土地をお譲り願いたいのでございますが、いかがでしょう。私たちの船には世界各地の宝物がぎっしり積み込んでございます。まずペルシャの絨毯、エジプトのタバコ、インドの宝石、シャムの栗花材、安南カンボチャのサラサ、シナ広東の茶、同じく北京の黄金、そして羊毛、砂金。これだけの宝物を陸揚げして王様にご覧に入れたいのでございますが、それにはどうしても並べる土地が必要でございます。なに、その広さは1000廊下ほどの大きさがあれば十分でございます。早速ご承知くださいましてありがとう存じます。お情け深いゴアの王様。ゴアの王様は 最後までよく戦った。しかしついには敗れ、この美しい島も海賊の手にかすめ取られた。千個不悦を入れざるジャングルに古き石像あり。刻みて曰く、月明明るき夜、東方天使の国より白馬にまたがりたる神の兵来たりて、必ずや民族を解放せん。
The movie was obviously meant to appeal to children and probably recruit to them. It's just fucking Japan. Like, obviously, they're fucking evil. So, 3 years after, Japan surrendered in World War II. So, just 3 years after Japan surrendered in World War II, Japan Animated Films was founded in 1948. This studio will go on to be acquired by Toei Film Company to become their animation department. Now, in the post-war period, we're hitting the period of global left-wing cultural movements, the dominance of communist parties worldwide, and Japan was no different. So, in 1941, 4 years after Hiroshima, Hayao Miyazaki was born. Miyazaki described that even as a kid, he felt that the war was stupid, saying, "I came to truly hate Japan, thinking I was born in a country that did stupid things." He began his career at Studio Toei, an active political force even in his early days, involving himself in union struggles. Miyazaki's early career is an accurate reflection of the culture at the time, more of a proletarian culture. He released Future Boy Cohen in 1978, which takes place after an apocalyptic war goes underway after the use of magnetic weapons in World War III. Magnetic weapons, nukes, you know how the fuck that works. Okay. The aftermath of this world leads to the setting of the story. Leaving barely any fertile land, the main character, a young boy named Conan, is raised by his grandfather. He meets a girl named Lana, who's fled from the nation of Industria. Industria throughout the film works to represent faults of industrial society. Industria is a cruel nation that exploits the labor of its underclass. Lana reminisces on the time she spent on another island known as High Harbor, a relatively peaceful agrarian community that offers truest hope of survival. In the end, they see success, destroying the planet's last warship and the sinking Industria. This era of Japanese animation took on the same attitude as Miyazaki, where we get classics like Ashita no Joe, Gundam, Lupin, Vash Stampede, shows that really shine in a post-war, anti-violence aesthetics. In the contemporary era, anime is weird as fuck. But before we get into that, why do cartoons seem so unimportant? But cartoons have been a staple in American culture for decades prior. So what is the quote-unquote golden age of animation? Let's imagine a starving child in the depths of depression, a family that is rife with dysfunction of the period with no dreams of a future with happiness. He looks up to a shop window, showing a cartoon, and it's Mickey Mouse, smiling at him, telling him to have a great day. This era greatly needed something to lighten the mood. As unemployment rose and money became scarce, Mickey Mouse became the beacon of light in the darkness. Movie attendance was a staple during this decade. Disney created a piece that truly resonated with people. In 1933, titled The Three Little Pigs, the first cartoon to ever have characters with real heart, real personality, and a decent story. The film worked to popularize the song Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf, becoming a rallying cry during the height of the Great Depression. The ones that were told they have no future, they have no humanity, this song became a tool to uplift themselves with. Disney creating the Mickey Mouse Club, local organizations designed to provide a safe and positive environment for children. This golden age of animation being the era of Disney's most critically acclaimed classics, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Pinocchio and Fantasia, Dumbo, Bambi. It's hope but within certain parameters. The best way you could describe this era situated in a period of societal trauma. It reflected the world back at you. Those starry eyes, a form of hypnosis. Just like any other media, This golden period of animation waned, television became popular, the quote-unquote silver age of animation started, and yada yada yada. Basically, cartoons had its rise and its fall. But there was a countercultural period. Not being telegraphed into the collective consciousness in the same way, this period was more reliant on a pure sense of quote-unquote conceptualism. The surrealism of Smith's Heaven and Earth magic, Godfrey's absurdist, the do-it-yourself cartoon kit, the symbolism in the Games of Angel, these being avant-garde pieces of art. I think that people overly interpret cartoons as more child-oriented, but the thing is, anime has become a simulacra of its past glory, hanging onto its scattered threads of good grace. I think a good cartoon to not let cartoons just get jumped is Avatar: The Last Airbender. The Fire Nation is the absolute monarch, tightly centralized imperialist state, waging a 100-year war, all for conquest and surplus value extraction. Quote-unquote economies of death, as they will call it. When Aang returns to the Eastern Air Temple, he is aware of the war refugee camps, made up of Earth Nation citizens, forced to toil endlessly for the manufacturing of weapons of war. In these camps, forced to maintain a war machine economy to stay alive, and paradoxically constructing weapons of war. Constructing weapons of mass destruction that kill, displace, and colonize others, and acting as a force toward decolonization. A method towards transforming the social relations of the broken, unbalanced world he was sealed in, to ultimately break the dialectical colonizer and colonize. The Fire Nation can humanize itself. The other nations are then dehumanized. It's a dialectic, you see. Prince Zuko, son of the Fire Lord, experiences severe withdrawal symptoms, giving up on his mission to search for the Avatar. His uncle, also a Fire Nation outcast, cares for him throughout this time and states, "You're going through a metamorphosis, my nephew." By being forcibly ejected from this identity, through which has shaped Zuko's way of conceptualizing the world, morality, humanity itself. Through this process of coming to a sense of self, Zuko's mind and body experiencing the process of decolonization, in which he is physically vomiting up the words and values of the Fire Nation. The Fire Nation constructs a narrative which claims the inferiority of its subjects, saying, quote-unquote, earthbending serves no use. It's not countercultural per se for some of its plot points. Y'all know which ones I'm talking about. But it's for sure an interesting show that speaks to life a lot of more mature themes on colonization and decolonization. Now, when you compare this anime to stuff like Psychopath, it's like, nigga, you dragging it. Because obviously, anime has more capacity to be mature, but it's still interesting. You know, cartoons have that capacity, but it's not to the same level as anime. But this is why anime versus cartoons is more complex than you think.